Okay, I'm going to start with, if you find that you are around someone who doesn't make you feel safe, that makes you feel on edge, whether you care about them or not, you need to throw that out the window, because we're talking about your safety, and that's what's most important in life. Your life can only be secured by your safety, and it's your job, as if you are an adult, it's your job, and even once you become a certain age, at sometimes, depending on the situation, even a child, it is their responsibility first for them to protect their life, their safety. And sometimes it may seem like, to think about that, and you haven't been raped or anything like that, it may sound like you're being traumatic. But the point is, you don't want to be there. You don't want it to end up at that place. So my advice to any boy, girl, man, woman, any person, if you are in a home with someone that makes you feel on edge or unsafe, and they've hurt you or threatened you in any way, you need to figure out how you can get out of there. Who can help you? Do not be embarrassed, scared. Excuse me. Do not let those very surface level feelings stop you from doing what you know deep down is going to be in your best interest, especially if a child is involved. That child is your number one priority. Do not let someone say, I think you're overreacting, or I don't think it's as serious as you're making it seem. You need to find someone you trust, and someone who is reliable, and someone who, even ideally doesn't know that other person, if they're a family member, especially. Because you don't want the other person knowing what you're saying about them, or that you are trying to get out of that home, because it may end up causing an issue for you, or an obstacle. So that's what I would say first and foremost. For any person who wants to know, if you're in that situation, what you can do, all I can say from my experience is to make it known that what they're doing is not what you want them to do, that you are not enjoying it, that you are scared. Make sure that's clear. Don't just be silent and allow what's happening to happen. Please don't do that, because later on, it's going to be hard for you within yourself, and even if you were to go to law enforcement or anyone else to tell what happened to you, it's going to be very difficult if you didn't say no, if you didn't fight at all, if you didn't make it clear that it wasn't what you wanted. So please, if you're in that situation, fight. Do not, they're already hurting you, and sometimes you have to think about, what else do I have to lose? Yes, you can lose your life. It's scary. They could kill you, period. That's being realistic. They can. But isn't your safety, your life, your body worth it? I would say that it is. It definitely is. So if you're in that situation ever in your life, knock on wood, you're not, fight. I mean, I was in a bedroom. We didn't have weapons in our home or anything like that. I mean, I did hit him and struggle against him and stuff like that, but I didn't have any weapons. But if you have, look around for a weapon if you can. And don't be afraid to use that weapon to hurt them, to kill them. Because at the end of the day, they are hurting you and they are killing a part of you inside, emotionally. They are taking from you. And when you're in that moment, you're you're fearful for your life, period. And you don't deserve that. No one deserves that. So I would advise for you to fight by all means necessary. Anything is game. They are completely violating your body and you as a person. So do not allow that. No one deserves that. You don't deserve that. And just please fight. That's the biggest thing I could say, is to fight, and make it known that you don't want it. As far as rape affects people differently. Each person will handle it differently. The way that they feel, who they may tell. I mean, you may have one person that tells nobody at all, but you may have another person that tells everyone in sight. Or, obviously someone who just only tells 2 people, or people who are close to them. Or the ones that call the police and file the report. I didn't do that. I didn't file a report. I didn't file charges against him. I didn't tell anyone except for his mom. It took me months to even tell my own mother and my twin sister. And that was very hard for me to keep that from them. And it hurt me that I didn't tell them sooner, because I knew that they would encourage me to file charges against him. But I was so afraid to do that. I could not fathom having to go to the police and tell them what happened to me. And after you experience something like that, you feel like no one's going to believe you. You're fearful of what people are going to say, that people are going to say that it was your fault, that you did this or that wrong. The judgment, I mean, after you survive a domestic violence or a rape, for whatever reason, we are consumed of what others will say or think of us when we think of filing charges against the person that did it to us. So the biggest thing I could ever say to someone who is I don't like to use the word victim, because I just prefer the word survivor. You survived that. You're alive. And it doesn't matter how broken you feel afterwards and how small to the world you feel. You survived that. And you are strong for being able to survive it and come out of it as a whole person. Even if you're hurt, or anything. I mean, you're a survivor. So the biggest thing I could say to someone who has survived something like that is to tell a trustworthy person, your mother, your sister, your best friend, your neighbor. I mean, Or you can walk into the police station where they don't know, no one knows you. No one knows you. And tell your story. I mean, how can they judge you? They don't know you. And it's not their job to judge. And as people in general, we shouldn't care what people think of us anyway, to be honest. That's how I feel. And that has been a struggle for me, like probably my whole life, is caring what people think about me. Judgment of everything. How I look, the way I walk. I mean, my life. But why? Why do we care about what someone else thinks? We know. We know who we are. We know what we've been through. No one else knows that. So do not care what someone thinks about you, what they're going to say. Just don't do that to yourself. Don't even put it out of your mind as much as you can. If you start thinking about what someone else thinks about you, what do I think about myself? What do I know to be true? Try to deflect it that way. You know yourself, who you are, what you've been through. So that's probably the best advice I could give to someone who has survived something like that, is to please tell your story to someone who is trustworthy, who is going to encourage you and support you, to go to law enforcement and at the very least file a report. Filing a report is going to document what happened when. If you don't file a report, later on you can't say it happened and they take it as something credible, because the first thing they're going to say, well, did you file a report? And they're just going, well, did you file a report? That's it. And so filing a report gives it some credibility, some documentation, or, like legal documentation that it happened, and that you reported it. With that, you have to remember that they will more than likely ask you to do a rape kit. And I haven't had that done, so I don't know what it's like. I can't comment on that, but I would imagine, of course, that is scary as fuck. It's scary, and you're not going to want anyone to touch your leg, let alone swab your vagina and touch and feel and examine your vagina. Especially part of what, was scary to me about filing a report and having a rape kit done, I was sexually active. I mean, I only had one partner, but, that's when the self-doubt comes in, and you start allowing negativity to cloud your judgment, because I don't know what they could have found. They could have found DNA, or, I didn't have rough sex, so maybe they would have, even though I'm sexually active, maybe they would have been able to see that it was forceful. I don't know, because I didn't do it. You don't want to go your life with never filing the report, never doing the rape kit, and then wondering, what if I had? How would my life be different? Would I still have to see him walking down the street? Would I still have to see him on a regular basis because he's part of my family? You wouldn't have to wonder that. The chips will fall where they may. And all I can ask and beg and plead of you is to find as much strength as you can within yourself, whether that's just within yourself because you are on your own, or whether that's pulling strength from family, from a brother, from a dad, from anyone who cares about you and wants the best for you. And be strong, and not to let the self-doubt and negativity and the naysayers cloud or affect what you know to be right. I really wrestled with myself and just told myself that I couldn't file a report. I mean, and in hindsight, I wish that I would have. But things happened the way that they did, as in a sense they were meant to, and it is what it is. It's too late for me. And one part of why I wanted to do this video is because it may not be too late for you. Even if it was a month ago, or 6 months, 2 months, 2 weeks, even if it was a year ago. I mean, technically, it's been 8 years and I probably could file a report, but that's a long time. For me, I feel like that's too late. And they wouldn't do anything about it. So for me, I feel like that's a waste of my time and energy to do that. And I've come to terms with my situation. But my situation may not be your situation or someone else's situation that may come across this. So that's part of the purpose of this video, is to encourage any survivors of rape, that it was recent. Please go to law enforcement and file a report, and you could just start there. You could start by just telling someone that you trust, and telling them that I need you to help keep me encouraged in going to the police and filing a report. I want justice for myself. And you deserve it. Don't ever doubt that you don't deserve it. Or that it's too far out of reach, or it's not worth it. A lot of times people will ask, like, are you sure? They're going to drag your name through the mud. They're going to portray you to be something that you're not. Do not be afraid. Do not allow that fear to hinder your decision in what you want for yourself, because you deserve that. If you don't want to press charges and you just want to move on with your life, that is completely your choice. But I would say at the very least to just file the report, because what if you change your mind and you do want to? At least the report is filed. You have a starting place. So that's just my personal opinion and encouragement to my sisters and brothers out there, because we are all connected to do that. And if my other thing that I would say, regardless of what you decide to do as far as legal or as far as legal action goes, please seek help, emotional and mental support, psychological help, however you want to put it. The road to healing after that is not easy, as you can imagine. So whether that's calling a hotline and just talking to the person on the other end of the line, or whether that's going to a support group or seeing if your insurance covers a certain amount of psychology appointments. There's resources out there, and I'm going to list some in the description box for anyone who may be looking, because when I was going through the recovery period of it, I called hotlines and talked to them multiple times, and it was just an ear to listen, someone who didn't know me, who didn't judge me, and I could just bawl my eyes out and tell them what happened. If need be, there are shelters usually in your area that help women who have gone through stuff like this, whether it's domestic violence or rape, and they are there to help you as well. There's resources, so take advantage of them. I keep getting interrupted. Yes, so there's resources out there. I'm going to list some below. If any of you want to share your story in the comments, please feel free to do so. I feel like even though it's sad and it's unfortunate, I know after the rape, because of the nature of who it was, I mean, I had very little trust for anyone. I would have anxiety and fear just going to the bank. I felt like if he could do it, literally anybody could do that to me, or do it to other people that I love. I was just fearful. I was terrified. I never got diagnosed because I was not forthcoming in my experience to doctors or anyone, really. But I believe that I had PTSD, and to a degree I would still say that I have it, because there are certain things that happen to me now, even 8 years later, that put me in a state of full anxiety and fear because of that experience with him. And obviously, as you can see, it's still something that gets me emotional. That's not to say that I wouldn't say that I've healed, but I feel like healing is an ongoing process. Your entire life, you are healing from traumas that you've experienced on this earth. And some people could say that, if you forgive him and if you've healed, why are you still talking about it? Or why do you still cry about it? But a lot of times that stems from someone who is uncompassionate and haven't gone through what you've gone through, or maybe they care about that other person way more than they care about you, and that's okay. But what's not okay is to invalidate someone's feelings and someone's experience. Don't do that. And if you have someone who's doing that, or rubs in your face your experience, that you deserved it, or is that why they did that to you, you need to question their position in your life. Because no one who cares about you would do that. No one who really loves you would do that. So if you have someone in your life that you have shared that experience with, and they are not sympathetic or empathetic to your experience, to your feelings, to what you trying to deal with that, I would strongly advise you cut them out of your life at ASAP, as soon as possible, because you don't need that shit, period. Like, what? You don't need that shit, and you've been through enough. You don't need someone who you thought loved you or cared about you to question or invalidate your feelings or your experience, or none of that. You get my drift. So, yeah, I mean, as I said, how you cope with it will really vary. I know I had moments where I felt like I was floating in the wind. Like colors, I've never done shrooms, but how people have described it, like where they say, like, you know, colors are more vivid, I guess, and things like that. Not like things bleeding together or like super, super crazy shit. But I had this feeling of almost like I was on drugs. I was like, looked extremely vivid and clear, but almost like through a glass. I felt like I was there, but not there. Or present, but not present. I had trouble sleeping at night. I will say that after something like that, you'd be surprised at how many people either shut down sexually or become promiscuous, because that person devalued their body and took something from them that was not for them. And it's hurtful, and it can be hard for a woman or a man, a boy, a girl, whoever it is, to deal with, because men and boys get raped. Men get raped. I know that it is very clear that boys do, but men can be raped as well, by female or male. It does not matter. For any person, something was taken from them, not just physically, emotionally, mentally. So, I mean, everyone deals with it differently, but so just bottom line, let me sum this up, because I know I can ramble and rant. The bottom line is, if you feel like you are at risk for domestic violence or rape, or it has happened already, I would strongly suggest that you go to someone for help and get out of that home, because your safety is important. If you ever happen to, unfortunately, get in that situation, domestic violence, I honestly don't really have any tips with that, because it happens like that. I would just say, I mean, after the fact, you need to go and press charges, get a protection order, take pictures of any marks that you may have to document that. But that would just be my advice. You have to know your limits and operate from the perspective that you want to live. That's crucial. You want to live after this. So just keep that in mind. For after the fact, get help, I mean, get help, seek support that is genuinely for you, for your best, and for your being. It depends on, your own personal religion or spirituality, whatever that may be for you. Find someone. Hey guys, I had to free up some space on my phone because my video cut off and said I didn't have any more space. So what I was saying was, whatever your spirituality is, whether you're Christian, whether you're just spiritual, whether you believe in one God, like whether you believe in God being a woman, multiple gods, I mean, whatever it may be, each person is different, and they have different beliefs. Different things work for different people, and all of it, I believe, is true to a degree. Your truth may not be my truth. My truth may not be my sister's truth. My daughter's truth may not be her brother's or her father's, etc. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, your mental and emotional health, your spiritual health, because each person has a spirit, matters, and it's important. And all of that is affected. So I would extremely suggest that you find a person or leader within your spirituality or your religion and seek cleansing and healing from them. So I would strongly suggest that you find a leader or a person within your religion, or spirituality to help you, to cleanse you, pray over you, speak over you, whether that be, praying or casting a spell, whether that is a chakra cleansing or becoming baptized, holy water, on you, whatever it is that works for you in your spirituality, seek that cleansing, because you need to cut those ties to that trauma as part of your healing process. You need to cut those ties from that person. If for some reason you have, if for some reason you have no idea who you can go to, then maybe you can ask a friend or a brother, or try Google it. I hate to say go to Google, but go to Google or Facebook, find a reputable church or spiritual shop, spiritual person. Even if you're not say you're not religious, as far as maybe you're not a Christian, but you're not really super spiritual either, but you believe in what spiritualists or witches do, if you believe in what a priest does, it really is significant what you believe in. Because if you don't believe it, I'm not going to say if you don't believe it, it doesn't work. I think that that's not true. Energy is energy, regardless if you believe in it. You do not have to believe in it for it to work. But if you're going to believe in some sort of cleansing and upliftment and alignment within your spiritual body, you want to go to someone who you're going to believe is doing what's best for you, that's reputable, that has good reviews, or people that know that person or have worked with them or have had work done from them, and things like that. So I would strongly suggest you start there if you have no idea. I don't know how long this video is going to be. I have to put it on my computer and edit it since, I have multiple clips. But I hope this wasn't too long. I hope I didn't rant too much. I think I really covered everything that I wanted to, and I hope that this was helpful for someone. I don't care if it's one person. I hope that it helps someone, and that it can help in their healing process in some way, or to just know that you're not alone and to know that it gets better. I mean, it's been 8 years for me, and I have to see this person on a regular basis, because they are a part of my family, like I said in the beginning of the video. But time heals all wounds. I really believe that. And from my own journey as a human being, I have found that to be true. And all I can say is seek emotional, mental, and spiritual help. Seek legal help, and nurture yourself and give yourself time. Be gentle with yourself. Love yourself, and just know that this is not the end of your world. This is not your life story. And it's just one obstacle of the journey. So I'm going to get off of here. I hope that you guys all have a beautiful day, and be blessed. And even if you haven't been through this and you've watched this video, the whole thing, I appreciate you watching the video, and I hope that maybe you'll be able to help someone that you know that maybe has gone through this, or someone you encounter one day that has gone through this. If maybe you're a partner of someone who has gone through this. I don't want to go into the details because my children are here now. If your partner has gone through this, I hope that maybe this can help you become more compassionate and know how you can maybe help guide them through the healing process, or make suggestions to help them. Time heals all wounds, and it will get better if you just give it some time and be gentle. There's no rush. Okay, so I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you.